Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Monday Club, in which we'll take a look back at the highs, lows and others parts of this year's championship. I'm joined by Kenny Archer, Cahair O'Kane and Andy Watters, and Neil Loughran will be joining us via video link from
the moon,
Glasgow, from the moon. But the sounds of the videos, that's where he is, guys. This is a very special extravaganza celebration. Look back at the championship.
You bring the drink.
I did not know. It's
Kenny brought the plums.
Yeah. Kenny has plum, fresh fruit anyway. So it's he's got Kieran McGinney's fruit budget. Do you remember that one from many years ago? Well, obviously we're not eating as much fruit as this.
It's not much. Didn't get much of a budget.
No, we get the tail end of it
you
anyway.
See my fridge. Full of plums.
Guys, we're still basking in the glow of Mayo's great win at the weekend. It's Mayo people are probably not glowing too much today. They're probably still
probably a funny shade of yellow.
Yeah, probably, and it doesn't help that they're by the sea, you know. But
today is this not Wednesday? I've still got that frog in the throat from Monday morning, so which is why I brought the plums in.
This is the Monday Club. This is the Monday Club podcast, but this is any day of the week that you want it to be. But look, we're going to take a wee bit of time to look back at the championship, and obviously, you know, it couldn't get much higher than last Sunday's high point with Mayo finally getting over the line after 75 years. But we're going to sort of go back to the start, and we'll delve into some of our own personal highlights and our thoughts on the championship from start to finish. I mean, it's a bit kind of, it's a bit churlish now to ask everybody what their highlight of the championship is, because I don't think any you'd have to have a heart of stone to not say Mayo. So we'll probably, when we get to that part, we'll probably say what is your second best moment of the championship, unless Kenny, you really want to point out that Tyrone beat Mayo. Tyrone beat Mayo, and Roscommon. Tyrone they beat the team, and then they beat the team that beat the team. So
I mean, in effect, Tyrone are the linear All-Ireland champions.
Unofficial,
No,
yes.
I don't know how
Lineal.
Lineal.
that's the thing they do with the World Cup, you know, unofficial world champions. So I think you can probably claim that one. Well,
We should have a third place playoff then, should we?
should have, yeah.
64 teams in next year's All Ireland.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Johnny Infantino could make it happen. Yeah.
Charlie Infantino.
Charlie Infantino.
You like that?
They just call him Charlie Oak.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things, obviously, this year's championship has made it more exciting, or has not. Or I'm just interested to get everybody's views on it. Is the new format, and obviously we've gone through several iterations of the championship in the last sort of 10 years or so. But have we arrived at the sweet spot here? Kenny, we'll start with you. What do you think? Has the new championship format been a success?
I think it's been brilliant. I absolutely hate revisionist history. You know, you have these things. What if Hitler hadn't
Counterfactuals.
Yeah. What if Hitler hadn't shot himself in the head and so on? And so it was a little bit controversial there.
Yeah.
But so we'll look back at this, and you know there will be permutations. And I even saw some Tyrone supporters going, "Oh, we'd have been better losing to Mayo that time in Healy Park and different paths." And you can look at all what might have turned out. But I think that's all been a great part of it. The group stages were really good. They worked well. You weren't getting dead rubbers because you still had everyone battling for third place and so on. But this has worked really well too. I think it's a great system, and you have had that sort of who's going to be up against who, and you're thinking, well, you know, this rubbish that people talked about, would teams want to win their provincial championship? But there were little glitches along the way with that of the timings of the draw, but otherwise, like, it has been a fabulous championship. I mean, it's produced a great winner, and there's been drama along the way, getting Louth going to the semi-finals as well, and the format has contributed to that, and having home games along the way as well when people were maybe campaigning for some neutral matches. I think that all factored into what it's just been a terrific championship.
Yeah, Cahair, obviously, I know you're a big fan of the home and away format to it, but Kenny referenced there the provincial championships. Has it been a further dilution now of the provincial championships, given if you take the example of Donegal going out fairly early in Ulster, and I know it was a shock result for them against Down, but at the time it seemed like, well, they'd won a few Ulsters the previous years. They'd been playing, 4 weeks out of 5 to win those Ulster championships in some years. Was it almost, we said at the time, maybe it's a blessing in disguise in that it gives them a bigger run into the All Ireland, and obviously it transpired when they first were drawn against Kerry and then beat Kerry. But is that maybe, I mean, it's probably a straw man argument against the current format, but is that one of the little quirks of it that maybe needs ironed out?
Well, there's no ironing it out, like in the sense of like the provincial championships are here to stay. I think what we saw this year was probably a pretty definitive line drawn down the middle of the championship in terms of provincials and All Ireland almost being separate entities completely. And some of the teams maybe struggled to recognise the not the gap as such, but like the lack of significance of the provincials in terms of what would then come in the All Ireland, other than the repeat pairings, which I think it's something that people haven't really picked up on. But even in the group stage, and even in the in the more recent formats we have, like Kerry's life has got a lot harder because they're not meeting anybody in Munster, and everybody else around the country, so Galway and Roscommon and Mayo are hopping off each other. The strongest teams in Ulster hopping off each other. The best in Leinster, and they can't meet again.
I think you're a bit harsh on Cork there now.
Well, look, Cork. Look, okay.
Cork are a very good team.
Maybe a wee bit, but well, it hasn't translated to Croke Park. But what it's doing is meaning that what Kerry are getting then, and you look at Kerry's draws over the last couple of years in the championship, they've been really tough. They've had tough paths, tougher than they've ever had in their history, and it's contributing to the championship. It's making their life a wee bit harder, and but when you've had a format where, like, I thought last year's format gave us what was at that time. It was I thought it was the best football championship has ever been last year's, and this year's is now the best football championship we've ever had in a new format. So you can't dislike it. You can't say it's a bad format. You can't. Now you can quibble over bits and pieces of it, but there's going to be no perfect fix. People don't want to get rid of the provincial system. There's an argument for it, and there's a strong argument against it. So I don't see it going anywhere for a wee while. I think we have a good thing. I think I would die on the hill of protecting the home and away. And I know certain teams want neutral, and people want neutral. I think the home and away is massive for it, and it's that luck of the draw. Had Armagh at Kerry at home, had that been in the athletic grounds, that can be the difference in the whole season.
Well, I think even had Armagh got Louth at a neutral venue, that would have been, I think that
potentially.
Well,
was
it was in Enniskillen, so it was in County Monaghan. But
Louth chose to play there because Enniskillen's a fortress for them.
Yeah.
But I would say on the provincial championships, just I suppose sticking with Louth won Leinster last year, which was a massive breakthrough for them. I'd say you could argue that was a stepping stone for what they did this year. So there's obviously an obvious benefit. Like, and we'll see what Westmeath do, or what next season, or Roscommon, who've had success in Connacht, whether they can kick on from that. Monaghan as well, getting to the final this year.
But will we see the sort of the top counties that, obviously the All Ireland contenders think twice about putting everything into a provincial championship and thinking to themselves, well, if we get a few weeks break here, okay, you're you're gambling with the draw then, I suppose, in the All Ireland, but is it a gamble worth taking?
I don't
think
so.
know about that, but because Down going up to beat Donegal, and there was all that speculation, were Donegal into or not. I don't think that helped Donegal at all. I mean, yes, they could have beaten Down and trucked on, and maybe that would have caught up with them eventually, possibly. But I don't think that did Donegal any favours going forward.
I think they're straddling a fine line at the minute. Like, for Roscommon and Westmeath this year, the provincial championships meant so much, and they meant so much because the other teams still took them seriously. But the minute your stronger teams step back and say, right, look, we're not interested in this. We want to win in All Ireland, and this is a barrier if we go hard after this thing, this is potentially damaging our chances of winning the thing that we really want to win. And the minute they start to look at that and weaken it, and then it become, so if Westmeath won a Leinster Championship that Dublin don't care about and put out half a team, that becomes something that's not worth winning anymore.
Then you have to
as it is,
legislate against that, and the way to maybe alleviate those issues is add in a couple extra weeks here and there.
No, don't do
But here,
no, where are you going to get them?
Why in this day and age would you have teams playing, county teams playing 3 weeks in a row?
Where are you going to put the weeks?
let's not get into that.
It's ridiculous. Like,
You're going to get
But I don't think.
There are no more weeks.
okay, between game 1 and game 2, we'll put in a week's
Does that mean
rest
pushing
there.
the All-Ireland final
Yeah,
back?
we'll push it back a fortnight.
No, I've had that, and you're really going to get.
Well,
carried on.
okay. Well, I'll just leave that question out there. 3 weeks in a row, you're expecting these players to play.
Everybody. They
Well,
play.
that is a flaw in the system.
I think it's sometimes if it's.
But that's your punishment for not winning. Like if you put a gap in between those games, then the team that wins has to wait 4 weeks to play.
Yes, but then
So, like, that's not fair on them.
Yes, and there's then a flip side that this is a threat to.
So you're punishing
this
the team
is a
that
threat.
wins.
Let me finish. This is a threat to your provincial championship. So if you want to keep that, then you've got to allow for that on down the road.
Is it worth breaking a good All Ireland system that works for the provincial championships?
Yeah,
to
but
fix them?
what is working is the game. The game is
It's working because the
the
structure
game
works.
has made it brilliant, not the system.
I think it's both.
I
think
take-
it's a
But
combination.
if you didn't have the new rules,
Yes.
and producing these amazing games, then I don't.
But the
think
amazing
it would
games also become the players are so fit and well conditioned now, and they're fit and well conditioned because they know they have to play a lot of games in a short space of time. So that feeds into the skill levels and the fitness and how long they'll go for.
I'm going to take it back anyway. I disagree. I don't even think the provincials are broken, and I think this new format almost enhances them because if you get to provincial final, you've got a home game in the All Ireland.
I don't think that's enough.
Well, it's a good starting point, and you've looking at. I mean, there's so many counties that it means so much still to win their province, and you've got their. I don't care what you say. Kerry and Dublin are still mad to win their provinces, and it didn't do them any harm. So I think
I think
I don't want any changes to it.
I think I don't think they're mad to win the provinces. I think they're mad to win the games in front of them, and that's slightly different. Like in the sense of I don't think they'd be badly bothered if they didn't win the provincial title. If there was no cup at the end of beating Cork from the Munster Championship, would they even notice?
But it's because
Dublin
they're
Dublin would
biggest-
like to get a land.
Yes, but it's because it's their biggest rivals. Kerry's biggest rivals have been Armagh, Donegal, Mayo, Dublin in the last few years. Whereas for a lot of Ulster team, their biggest rival is somebody else in their province. For Armagh, it's Donegal or whatever. So
And there's a wider point. Sorry, quickly, I'll make a wider point on just Ulster and where that's at as well, because I do think that teams in Ulster more than anywhere else desperately do still want to win the Ulster Championship.
Yeah.
And the style of football, you're not going to win an Ulster Championship kicking, because if the other team just wants to sit in, you're running into trouble. And it's almost as if everybody's setting their template out to win Ulster. And what we've seen from Mayo is they set a template out to win the All Ireland, and it didn't win Connacht, and it got actually hammered in Connacht. But when it went to Croke Park, it suited the space there, and so they nearly. And it's easy in hindsight, but if they nearly sacrificed a Connacht title in the sense of, look, this is the way we want to play, and if it doesn't win us Connacht, so be it. And I just think that I think some of the Ulster teams have to say, we want to win an All Ireland. We want to play the way we're going to play in Croke Park, and if that doesn't win us the Ulster title, so be it.
But I
Fair
disagree.
enough. Will Mayo will Mayo still play that system next year with no Kobe McDonald?
They will.
Yeah.
It's the only way they can play.
yeah,
But I would argue that
if he goes on.
Mayo's disappointment and the criticism they got for losing the Connacht semi-final and their desperation to reach that final and win another Connacht and their rivalry with Roscommon,
Yeah.
they remade their system. They remade their team after that. So they did change. They brought in Dara Byrne, hadn't played in Connacht. Jack Livingstone, the goalkeeper, came in.
Yeah.
They brought others in. Kobe, I think, might have started in Connacht. I can't quite remember.
He played second half against
Yeah,
Roscommon.
but he mightn't have started that semi-final. So Mayo were still desperate to win Connacht, and then they actually changed after it anyway. So it wasn't just that they went in with this one way of playing, because
But
you
it was
know,
this-
they brought in quicker
Put it
players.
this way,
for the all, you know, so
But Andy Moran's first year in Mayo, if Mayo had gone and won a provincial, the kind of title, got to an All Ireland quarterfinal, semi final, and it's the first year of Andy Moran, that represents success. And
no one
you know,
would have expected anything else.
Absolutely, you know. So I mean, they've obviously, you know, what they've done is just.
But
exceeded
is that
everything.
because they set their sights on what was going to suit them in Croke Park? And you're right, like I actually heard Andy Moran after the final saying that the Mayo game was where they sort of the players.
The Roscommon
Roscommon
game,
game.
yeah.
Sorry, what did I say? The Mayo
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Sorry, the Roscommon game. The players weren't quite fully bought into the idea of pressing. They were still sort of, when things started to go wrong, they were still stuck a wee bit in the, maybe we should drop off here. And then they were caught between the two stools and they didn't do either. And it was only when they properly committed to the way that it was going to work in Croke Park was when they sort of took off for the year. And I do think that there's definitely a couple of the better teams in Ulster probably have to get a wee bit more expansive, have to get a wee bit braver, and press out a wee bit higher and start to move the ball a wee bit quicker through the lines. Or there's going to be no All Irelands, but that, I think the consequence of that is if you play that way and the other teams in Ulster don't move with you, you probably lose in Ulster, because if you go expansive against a team that doesn't want to play, you can get caught up on that. But when you go to play the Kerrys and the Mayos who want to play expansively as well, you'll get your spaces, you'll get your chances.
Just on that though, is there maybe one of the tweaks that needs to happen is the timing of the draw, because when Armagh won the Ulster final, the immediate talk was Derry. You know, the next game is Derry in the All Ireland, and that was where the focus was. And they'd won their first Ulster, you know, since 2008, and there was talk of, we'll celebrate it, but you know, one eye is on Derry. Is it maybe one of the little things that needs to happen? Maybe
It was a bit of an unnecessary rush, wasn't it? Like the following Monday, was it the Monday morning then?
Maybe if we just added a few weeks to this.
A week here and there. You know, I mean, I think it's inevitable that it will happen, you know, because there's no...
start the league in December. Go back to the league.
there's
Put half
just
the league before Christmas and half it after
Yeah,
Christmas.
I mean, obviously, you know, what date it is, it's all over. Like, you know, I'm not talking about going back the third week of September or anything like. But I think inevitably that is going to happen.
And I'm sorry,
although there may be resistance. And
I'm sorry, but like, Cork started their football championship at the weekend. Like, they don't have any more weeks to give you.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Where do you take their weeks from?
Well, we'll sort that out when we.
I love it.
Yeah.
Andy can be our delegate to the Central Council. And the only thing I would say though is I think you need to get another weekend between the hurling and the football final. I think it's very difficult for hurling, especially like I know Limerick won it this year and they're used to winning it, but a couple of years ago, when say like Clare had won it for a while, if you had a Clare winning the hurling
does it make?
and Mayo winning the football, like just give them a chance.
It's just this amazing product.
It'll not affect what Limerick do, whether the football final's on or not.
I just think give them a wee bit more.
But it is part of the there's not as much time or space for promotion of the All Ireland football final, and maybe it doesn't need it, but you could get more coverage and build up in. But obviously there's a huge interest in the All Ireland hurling final, and it gets that, and then you're just straight into the next week for the football
We've
final.
covered this before, Kenny, and Cahair said that people don't care about journalists, so this
I'm not talking. I'm absolutely not. I know they don't care. I barely care about these, but it's
Use. Sort of removing yourself from the fourth. Moved out of the fourth estate there.
Indeed. Yeah. But no, it's about just the games and the people themselves and the build up and all that. You know.
So we're broadly think the new format. Broadly a success. Let's keep
Massive
it going.
success.
Let's just find
Massive.
another week in the year for Andy.
Yeah.
Well,
Not for me. Well, we'll just find if I'm a Donegal fan or whatever, 3 weeks in a row I've got to go up and down the country. I mean, you know, it just.
no, but like think of Redmond O'Halloran's winning the Armagh Junior Championship, Andy. Like
I wouldn't mind like running around like the lesser known clubs of Armagh, like, but that's not like really like having to take a day going to Mayo or Kildare or up to.
Well, we'll find out what Neil thinks of it now. He's very generously taken a bit of time out from his busy schedule in Glasgow to share his thoughts.
Has the new All Ireland format been a success? I think overall we can say, yeah. I mean, first of all, you look at the provincials, and obviously that nothing has changed there. But when 3 of the 4 provincial championships are so competitive as they are now, it definitely shines a brighter light on all the rest of the championship. What we saw this year with the introduction of the home and away aspect in the knockouts really brought a different dimension. I mean, the day Donegal went to Killarney was, the anticipation around that, the atmosphere, the fervour. Did the fact that draw was made overshadow the provincial finals? Definitely, it did, and I think that'll be remedied for next year. But even when you think of Inniskeen and Louth and Armagh that day, it was brilliant. And those kind of days, it's probably something we have been slightly starved of. Really getting those kind of mad and intense occasions in the knockout rounds of the All Ireland. It feels like it has been a while, so that was definitely a welcome introduction.
So look, we'll move on to, as a reference at the start there, the standout moment of the championship. But before I do, I must also thank our sponsors, Fine Insurance NI, your local commercial insurance broker, which I forgot to do.
It's good to put it in the middle when people aren't.
Yeah, exactly. Just
throw
people
them
in there, like,
people always hit the fast forward button over the sponsors, but anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
well,
you should have to
And just as in the recent Soccer World Cup, where there were hydration breaks, you can have a fresh fruit break. Archer's plums available
Grown
from
in
North
Kenny's
Belfast,
garden,
organic.
Yeah.
And this is our sort of hydration
Hydration.
break. And, sponsors break.
No,
anything to flog? No. Cahair, no coaching manuals to flog.
still available on Amazon. You want one, lads? It's still there.
As a reference at the start, thanks to Fine Insurance again for all the support throughout the season. Our standout moment of the championship, and I suppose maybe our second standout moment, because we'll give Mayo their dues on that. We'll start with you this time, Andy. We'll come back round this way. Then.
Sure.
So, can you pick out your sort of standout moment of this year's championship?
I'd say probably the most amazing moment probably was Jack McCarran's equaliser against Derry at the Athletic Grounds, just for the pure audacity and brilliance of that sideline volley kicked. I'd say that the moment that had the biggest impact on the championship was probably Samuel Rowe's goal against Armagh in Enniskeen. And that's I don't want to sort of keep harping on about it, obviously, but
Well, it put Armagh on a completely different path.
That was the butterfly flapping as well.
I mean, absolutely. Just in the space of a couple of seconds, it completely changed the whole dynamic of that.
Changed everybody's summer.
Yeah.
Changed Mayo's summer. Changed Louth's summer.
Yeah.
Changed Armagh's.
Yeah.
Changed Kerry's. Changed everybody's summer.
So it was
in that minute.
a seismic
Yeah,
moment.
it was a massive buy. It's
Yeah.
probably the single biggest impactful moment of the summer in
Yeah.
terms of what it meant for everybody else around them, because Armagh weren't going to Killarney the following week.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Kerry, in hindsight, brought their biggest performance to that game and probably dipped thereafter.
Yes, and they probably Kerry were overhyped from that point on, because they were taking it on an Armagh team that was completely shell shocked.
Yeah,
6
yeah.
days later, obviously had to make the trip to Kerry, and then they did play some terrific football. Kerry did, but you had to factor in all those aspects to it. So, and then the hype train started down in Kerry with Kerry's to lose, etc., etc. So
Yeah, there
massive
wasn't much era about. There wasn't much. It was one of those years where they were sort of almost banning the hype a wee bit more than they usually do. I don't know. Maybe it was just the cover for them. I don't know.
That did not help them in the week of the All Ireland final either. Like all of even their own sort of being like, I just can't see any way Kerry don't win this final, and it made Andy Moore's job so easy. And
It was bizarre.
It does remind you of the 2002 build-up as well, actually, because it was that sort of like Kerry had beaten Armagh a couple of times in the semi-finals before that, and this was Armagh's first in so many years, and it really reflected that. Yeah. So I mean, so Mayo have Sam Mulroy to thank for it all. Really.
It's all these things happen in a season, don't they? I mean, there's
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
things coming and going.
Cahair, what about you? What are the standout moments for you for
The best moment of the season would be if I could get this sneeze that I need to do. That would get rid of a lot of stuff.
I'll just get Sean to edit that out then.
Andy's-
if it comes.
I'll hide the manufacturer of that tissue.
Archer's tissues. Well, Andy's kind of stolen them all there, hasn't he? Look,
I think we should just go on to some Mayo then, because I was going to say that was the standout moment, that Louth's last gas winner. We're agreed on that with the consequences of it. So
I was very lucky to be at all of them. Like, I was there for Sam Roy's, there for Jack McCarron's, there for the All Ireland final, and
Some
of
great
the three
moments.
of the three of them, the final's always going to stand. The final was like those last few minutes and the final whistle and stuff are way beyond any season's best moment, But for you take it back to number 2 then. So like Jack McCarron's sideline was like the concrete actually shook in Armagh. The place went mad. It was because the whole thing around the referee actually blowing the final whistle, starting to walk off the pitch. And then Davy Garland and Rory Beggan commentating, reminding him.
Player
Yeah,
telling him.
absolutely, reminding him that now we get to take the sideline. Rory Beggan hanging on the fence like this, sort of just watching Jack McCarron.
Yeah.
And the fan video that we all saw, like from right behind it, right in line with it, like it was some shot. It was just
David Garland and Rory Beggan, the brains and the bronze, brawn getting putting the pressure on.
My favourite bit of all that was, and I think it was one of you two guys had pointed it out, where Jack McCarron had said, "Get me a good ball."
Oh, Michael Bonnigan. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
The important bit of like this has everything about this has
That
to be
one wouldn't have
perfect.
done the one that Cahair has would not have done the job.
No,
at
it's
all.
slightly-
It needs
no, I
to
don't
be
think that would
soft.
reach. I don't think that would reach the 21.
What about you? Any others? But they're very consequential moments. But even kind of like anything else that stands out for you, Kenny?
Well, from a, suppose, biased personal Tyrone perspective, even went to the game in Roscommon, and it was strange in that Roscommon were favourites to beat Tyrone, which wouldn't have been the case for a long time. They'd won Connacht, they were on a high, they were home in the Hyde, and it was the day the news broke that the great Frank McGuigan had sadly passed away, a real Tyrone icon, and Tyrone had a very good season as it went on. It got better, obviously pretty poor league, and then okay against Armagh in Ulster, but that was sort of a real stepping stone for this, Tyrone team, which is in transition, and they just really battled that day. And Matty Donnelly wearing the 14 jersey that Frank often wore, and scored a really important goal for Tyrone. But the young fellas, Owen McElhone and Ronan Cassidy as well, getting goals, and McElhone winning, shall we say, the free. But it was so important to Tyrone to get that victory. So that just at the end, it was really dramatic. Roscommon were very good, and then that sort of maybe derailed their season a bit. But it's important for Tyrone, and it was something for them to build on for next year.
I'll just
When
throw
they'll be going for Sam.
Just throw a couple in that I thought of. So Dublin beating Donegal was brilliant. Westmeath won in the Leinster title.
Yeah.
The Connacht final. They were all brilliant days in the summer as well. That there were a lot of brilliant days this summer.
Well, I'll be equally as indulgent and go for Down's win over Donegal, because that's about as good as it got for Down.
Absolutely.
But one moment actually, the goals and the way the sort of destroyed the Donegal kick out, but the Caelan Mooney tackle on Conor O'Donnell really late on, he just tracked him the whole way and just stripped the ball off. I mean, that sort of summed it all up. That's some of the effort that Down put in that day. Like, taking that in isolation was a fantastic result for Down. Obviously, both counties' seasons.
What was the speedy hit again? There was some stat.
It was hit. Yeah, it was
Yep.
I don't know.
I must look it up. It was silly numbers.
One other moment I would say that had a big influence was Niall Morgan's winner against Mayo.
Absolutely.
Because obviously Mayo lost the game, which then pushed them, arguably you might say, into a better position, to make the All Ireland final. Didn't it? I mean, if they'd won that game, would they were carry next one? So
and Louth beat Monaghan with 14 men.
Yeah.
When you start to think about them, there were so many great days that you couldn't do through, and that, as you say, that facilitated a whole different draw on that side as well. Then.
Yeah.
And then a good result for Tyrone and a good result for Mayo then, as it turned out, and a good platform for Tyrone and maybe to build on for next year. But so all thanks to the new format, which we all the agreement that's a great success.
It just struck me at some point, obviously after that amazing final yesterday, and your head swirling with various things. But I think I'm right in this. Mayo were the first county to win the All-Ireland, having lost 2 matches. Did I point out that Tyrone beat them? Roscommon beat them as well.
Yeah.
So and it was funny. So you're 25 years on then from Galway becoming the first county to win an All-Ireland, having lost a match because they had been beaten in Connacht by
That was the
Roscommon, I
first
think,
year of the qualifiers. Yeah.
in 2001. Yeah. So, but it all leads into like already you're looking forward to next season because Roscommon will think, well, we can beat Mayo. Tyrone will think we can beat Mayo.
10 teams think they can beat
Donegal
Yeah.
beat Kerry. Armagh, will believe in themselves. They had just that one weird moment against Louth. Galway will think it's a bit like with Tyrone after 2002. Well, if those boys can win it, we can win it the next year.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great level.
What Monaghan have done, it's Dublin getting there to the Louth. Like, it's just unlike the hurling where you've this one, let's be honest, professional outfit almost, and could just go back to dominating it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the hurling will be competitive, but it's mostly Munster nowadays. But there's just this spread of counties from across Ireland that will think we can win Sam Maguire Cup in 2027.
Everything.
Standout moment of the championship. It may be foolish to look beyond, like for example, Ryan O'Donoghue, whenever he took that free towards the end of Sunday's All-Ireland final, that felt to me like the moment you knew the wait was finally over for Mayo. The scenes that followed everything in Croke Park, it was just magical, really, really magical. And you could feel that even watching it from a distance, what it meant. However, I'm going to go for probably one of the more madcap moments of this year's championship, which was the Ulster semi-final between Monaghan and Derry, which feels like a lifetime ago now. But Derry were 11 points clear, 10 minutes into the second half, completely coasting. Monaghan reeled them in. There was 2 points in it coming down the very end. The ball went out over the sideline. The whistle blew. Noel Mooney blew the whistle, and Derry thought they were into an Ulster final. But the Monaghan players had different ideas. They knew that they should have had an opportunity from the sideline for a 2-pointer. So Rory Beggan got on the case of Noel Mooney. Davy Garland, who referees in Dublin, probably saved the day for Monaghan. He had a few quiet words, explained exactly what the situation was to Noel Mooney, and he took it on board, and Monaghan were given one last chance. Jack McCarron, from a really acute angle, right in front of the fence at the athletic grounds. The anticipation in that moment was incredible. To take that score on and to nail it the way he did, and just watching both sets of players and the difference in the mood as they trotted down the tunnel then for extra time, and Monaghan ended up winning. But an absolutely unbelievable evening in Armagh.
A great championship, as we all can agree, but can we sort of maybe focus on maybe the disappointing parts of it? Cahair, go with you first. Who or what or anybody has been the biggest disappointment of this year's championship for you?
I think Donegal. I think Donegal's the obvious place to go there. When we were setting out at the outset of the championship, and they just pummeled Kerry in the league final, and everything that they did well that day, and you're thinking, at that stage I still would have Kerry probably just slight favourites for All-Ireland, but only just. I thought the two of them had evened up at that point. But to come out at the end of a summer where they lost to Down, Cork and Dublin, all three in the same championship summer, like that's, oh my God, like, absolutely not one being on this island predicted anything close to that at the start of the championship. So there's nowhere else I think you can really look in terms of where it kind of went wrong, and so flat against Dublin and so outworked against Dublin, so disappointing the second half against Cork, so completely outthought and outplayed by Down in Letterkenny. So, and then in between times, and I still do maintain that I'm not fully convinced they would have won the game in Killarney had the red card not happened, I think that Kerry were much better in the first half than we're given credit for, and had the breeze in the second half. So, Donegal.
What do you think, Kenny?
It's a strange one here. I'm going to say Armagh, in that Armagh had they ended their search to win the Anglo-Celt, 18 years, amazingly, having been so dominant at in the 2000s, winning it repeatedly then. And they've had, knockback after knockback in recent years in Ulster. So they had that great high. And I really felt at that point, I thought Armagh were the best of the Ulster teams, and the squad they have, and and they were playing really good attacking football. So just then for Armagh, I would say, not that Armagh were disappointing in themselves, but the disappointment for them of that Louth defeat, and then the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Because I really felt Armagh had a good shot at winning the Sam Maguire back, and they're going to be about. Obviously, Kieran McGeeney is staying on yet again, and they've a great squad and a good age profile. But
I've sort of gone with them as well in terms of the disappointment. As I say, it's more disappointed for them than by them, because they did look like at one stage that this is they looked better than they did in 2024, even, and they had more options, and the bench was deeper. There was there's so many ways to win a game, and obviously maybe those, as we talk about those kind of sliding doors moments, obviously the Louth game, but also injuries. The injury to Blaine Hughes maybe derailed them.
The injury to Ben Creeley was as big as anything, because
yeah.
the flaw of that really showed up in Killarney.
And it wasn't anything against Ethan Rafferty, because Ethan Rafferty we know is a top class goalkeeper as well, but it was just the way they were playing. His kickouts had totally taken them to the Ulster title. Really, it was just that. How they fell off was the big disappointment, really. And I know we'll talk about Donegal as well, but I mean, at one stage Armagh, I think, looked like the best team in the country, and then that just kind of things conspired against them, So Andy, where are you going with disappointments?
All I suppose I could add would be probably Galway, because 2 years ago they were pushing very hard for Stan Maguire. Last year they did fall off it, but this year with Damon Comer back and Finnerty fit and Shane Walsh looking a great nick, there was a lot of optimism around Galway, but once again it just hasn't happened for them. So I would say you'd have to say a disappointing season for the tribesmen.
Can I just say, although I have these lovely maroon coloured plums which will be available for sale in North Belfast in coming weeks, I agree about. I think I'm going to stop scudding Galway. I've tipped them a few times in recent years, and maybe even this year I'll talk them up, and they're capable, and they've just fallen short.
I don't see it. I've never seen it.
No.
Never seen it with them.
Biggest disappointment of the championship, I think you would have to say Donegal. Given the expectation around them coming into this year's All-Ireland Championship, beating finalists last year, so much motivation, so much to put right after that defeat to Kerry. And they really looked like a different side in a lot of ways throughout the league. You could see the different changes that Jim McGuinness had worked on, and they just looked better placed to really go on this year. The league final proved the ultimate false dawn. They went down to Croke Park and hammered Kerry at the gate, annihilated their kickouts, and then everybody was talking about Donegal. They were the team to beat. Well, within a matter of weeks, Down went to Letterkenny and really beat Donegal well. They were just so lackluster that day. They just hadn't the energy that you associate with Donegal under Jim McGuinness, and Down pulled the rug from under their feet. They rallied for the game in Kerry, in Killarney. They were fantastic that day. Again, you start to think, okay, the Down defeat was just a blip, but it wasn't. Cork, in what was a pretty miserable game, saw Donegal off that day, and they went into a clash with Dublin favourites. Probably everybody expected them to somehow breathe new life into their championship again, but it wasn't to be. They were second best that day. Were lucky to take the game to extra time. And there's going to be a lot of soul searching there with Donegal over where exactly they go heading into 2027.
But so we'll move on. Actually, we'll get a bit. We'll focus a bit more on Ulster. And while Kenny's eating there, Andy, we'll go to you first with this question. So basically, we're looking at which Ulster team you think has fared best in this championship, and not so much like in terms of achievements, but fared best relative to the expectations that you might have had going into the championship by them. So who's your pick for the best Ulster performance?
In terms of like that has made the most ground up, I would say Tyrone.
Yeah.
That's obviously like Armagh, obviously well up there, but I'd say Tyrone can look forward, very like optimistically to next year if they get everybody right. It all changed for me in that Mayo game. Big crowd at Healy Park, an atmosphere that hadn't been seen for a good while, and to take down, a top team, obviously, as we've seen. It's such dramatic circumstances, like with that Morgan free at the end. They've got another few players here. I think, haven't they got 4 All-Ireland winning under 20 captains in their squad? Right, that's going back to Kieran McGearney's time. And a lot of young fellas through, and actually blossoming there now. You can see that. Obviously, they ran Kerry very close, and that was without the 2 Canavans. So
and then Kenny did his piece a few weeks ago about what Tyrone will look like in 2027, and it feeds into a lot of that. There's a good age profile in the panel now, in that they have a successive under 20 teams coming through, and then they obviously have a bit of the experienced older. Why? I suppose the big question is, and they're the team that I've picked as the best Ulster team for, is Niall Morgan, Matty Donnelly, Darren McCurry. Will they be back next year? And then you have the question marks over Darren Canavan's fitness, the fitness of those sort of, because they are sort of crying out for what we used to call a marquee forward, but that's probably not so it's whether they can get the mix right, but they've done enough this year to suggest that they could be building on for next year. What was only a point in it between them and Armagh, really?
That's right, yeah. Well, didn't they have 4 championship games? They won 2 by a point, lost 2 by a point.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So it's fine. It's fine margins, So there's definitely progress being made. Which
technically the 4 points to carry.
4 points to carry.
But like it was a one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The goal sort of. In terms of the progress made, they're probably one of the Ulster teams that you see is on a sort of an upward trajectory, really. Cahair, where are you looking at in Ulster for that?
It has to be Tyrone, doesn't it? And the thing is, like we're 2 years into Malachy Rock now, and I have to say it was only in the aftermath of the Kerry game that I started to think like I've probably been judging them wrong over the last couple of years, and I've come to the point where I think they're just going to be a summer team. I think you look at the profile of players that they have, the pace that they have, they're small in areas, and that's not particularly suited to winter football. And then you draw the correlation between their 2 league performances under Malachy and their 2 championship performances under Malachy. They're totally different beings. Like they were very unlucky to lose to Armagh last year. They ended up in the All-Ireland semi-final, and that game against Kerry wasn't as bad as people remember it to be. There was certainly a lot of that game. And then this year, again, take Armagh to extra time. Could have got over that very easily. And then they beat Roscommon, they beat Mayo. They give Kerry their absolute fill of it in Croke Park, and you have to say, like, when we were looking for consistency from them, they found it for the first time in a wee while since 21. They found a level of consistency in their performances, and I just think that the leagues might be a wee struggle for them. They might struggle to get out of Division 2 again next year, and we could be looking at them at the end of March and saying, "Geez, where's Tyrone going?" You don't know, but I think we can only judge them now on what we know over the last 2 years, and that is that from April till July is really when you're going to see what Tyrone are.
Yeah, and they're probably a county that could do with a good run in the provincial championship.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the draw is kind of them next year, because drawing Armagh in the preliminary was probably the last thing that they needed. As Cahair says, if they're summer, they're not looking to kick on in the summer. The draw opened up for Armagh, and they played Fermanagh then afterwards.
Although I must add, it didn't really hurt them this year.
No,
let's be honest.
Well, just for next year, what both Armagh and Tyrone will know is that they won't be in the preliminary, so that's a good starting point for them out. And I would just say on marquee forwards, I think the only question mark over Darragh Canavan is fitness and keeping free of injuries. I'd say Owen McElhone can get to that level, and I really like Ronan Cassidy as he's grown into that role. He's still young to be centre forward. Is a really important and difficult role. But and the other aspects for Tyrone this year, which can get underestimated because people almost take it for granted, but getting to another All Ireland under-20 final and the minor final, like they lost them both. But to keep doing it at underage is difficult, because you're changing so many players when Tyrone just kept that production line rolling on. But I would give a mention out to Monaghan, because they had an even more difficult league than Tyrone. Like Division 1 is just a cruel place when you've got a load of injuries and you're missing a lot of experienced men. And Monaghan suffered in that and took a bit of flack from their own, but Gabriel Bannigan kept the faith in them, had the belief, and said, when we start getting men back, they're a wee bit like Tyrone in that they've got a very experienced goalkeeper who there might possibly be a question mark over his future. They've they've other Jack McCarron, like a forward, a bit very different player from Matty Donnelly, but
But
Jack,
he's not going to be starting too many games for them.
no,
really,
but so. But if they can get Rory Began and Jack McCarron and keep them fit and involved, and Monaghan are quietly bringing really talented underage players through as well. But just what they did to bounce back from that awful Division 1 and show real character. Now they had the luck of the draw with home matches in the championship, but Monaghan made a great bounce back after a very difficult sort of first part of the year.
Yeah. Some, as you said, some big occasions in Clonus never. It's good. It's good benefit of the draw. We'll find out what Neil thinks about some of these questions as well. Obviously, he's going to weigh in on it.
Which Ulster team fared best in the championship? I think Tyrone will be the happiest of all coming out of this 2026 campaign. Which is not something you would have expected to say after the league. It doesn't feel like that long since there was this bizarre talk of Tyrone possibly ending up in the Tailteann Cup. Such was the struggles in Division 2 earlier in the year. But Tyrone are, and always have been a championship team and a summer team, I guess, too. Whenever it, came to playing against, Armagh in the athletic grounds, they gave them every last bit of it, and probably left Armagh disappointed that day. Had a long wait before the All-Ireland series started. Went down to Roscommon, got a brilliant win. Beat Mayo, who, as we know, sit here now as All-Ireland champions. And then in the All-Ireland quarter-final against Kerry, given very little chance, probably. Tyrone came away, a couple of refereeing decisions didn't go their way. But on another day, that could have gone for them. And, they look at it and go, some of their key personnel really stood up this year. Colin Kirkpatrick was fantastic all year. Niall Morgan had a brilliant championship after a disappointing league campaign. The likes of Joey Clark and Ronan Cassidy has shown the promise that's there for the future. And I think they'll go into 2027. Malachy O'Rourke will be delighted, be really confident of where this Tyrone team can go.
But we're going to round off. It's probably in the light of the All Ireland final success of Mayo. These are probably the easiest questions you're going to get. But anyway, we're going to look at our player of the season and our young player of the season of the championship. Really, I'm going to go to you first, Cahair, because because if everybody's going to say Kobe, you might as well say him first. But I suppose you can make a case for Dara Byrne and other young players as well. Player and young player of the championship.
Young players a 3-horse race, but Kobe will probably win it. But Dara Byrne and Dara McDonald. Dara McDonald was phenomenal for Louth all season. Brilliant season from him. And Kobe and Dara Byrne were both huge. Be interesting to do. I'm sure somebody really nerdy will do at some point a comparison between the two and what
sounds like you're volunteering
what Dara Byrne and Kobe contributed, because it's the easy place to go is Kobe, and the story around him and going to Australia and one time, and there is that, like, and it's an easy thing to do, but I just wonder if you tallied up Darragh Byrne's contribution to Mayo,
score wise,
would it match?
I'd say he probably got double the scores.
If you really drilled into it, that's to say.
Darragh Byrne's a better All Ireland final anyway than in terms of.
I thought Kobe was really good in the All Ireland final. I heard a wee bit of that. I thought Kobe
just in terms of his finishing.
I thought his performance was.
The players you referenced there, it's probably no coincidence that they play under managers who are sort of real high energy managers, real good motivators and stuff like that, because those three players play with absolutely no fear at all, and with huge amount of confidence. They back themselves in every situation, and Gavin Devlin and Andy Moran are almost the perfect managers for them to play under, because they will be feeding that confidence into them,
Totally.
I'm starting to really doubt this now, because my head was melting doing those Mayo pen picks, but I had Kobe down for 125 in the championship before the final. So that sounds a lot now, and he scored 3 yesterday. But Darragh Byrne then finished up with 318 over the championship, which was a great contribution. I genuinely would go for Byrne. I saw Mayo in the flesh a few times, and he was almost in the spotlight a bit more, because Mayo were really protecting Kobe until after the final, and he spoke well and so on, but understandably protecting Kobe because of so much attention over him. But I thought Darragh Byrne was brilliant, and I mentioned it in the report, even just the attitude of him running around, bumping and barging, carry men, even when he didn't need to. Like, there were times I was laughing at, he was running 15, 20
did a lot
yards
of that, Mayo.
to do, go, I am not, taking any, you're not bullying us, you're not.
But teams know how to, and it was actually, I saw Enda McGinley on RTE last week saying with great glee about Kerry and the dark arts and all this sort of thing, because he obviously, as a Tyrone man, he took great delight in pointing this out. But Kerry have done that, and I suppose they did Donegal last year for the All Ireland final. It's just just roughing guys out, getting in their heads and that sort of thing. So was that almost a kind of preempt that kind of?
Well, Tyrone had to learn it from somewhere, so I suppose they learned from the best in Kerry, and pick up those sort of tips of how to do that sort of stuff,
So I would go with Darragh Byrne as well. You would go with Darragh.
Yeah,
would you go?
I would. Yeah.
Who would you go with?
I would go with Kobe, although obviously Darragh Byrne was brilliant. Just for his all round game. I mean, I was just watching the warm up yesterday, and guys, I just saw him hit a ball, absolutely pure striker of a ball as you would ever see. The 45 he hit yesterday was brilliant. At times they've looked for him for kickouts when they've needed to get the ball out, to put the ball on top of his head, and he's won it. We talked about his score and his pace, that tenacity in the press yesterday, an all round superstar, isn't he? It's just a pity.
The only thing I would say a couple of times, and I love players like that, flair players who will try things. But in the heat of that All Ireland final yesterday, when it was in the melting pot, and Kobe tried a couple of times for scores, and there was one in particular, and thought you shouldn't have done that, and they didn't get a score off it. And Byrne is more of that team player, I think, but Kobe's fantastic. I mean, either of them, absolutely merit, and Darragh McDonald.
Do you know, it's just in my head, we went to all the bother of just two changing seats, and then you're after saying yesterday.
Well, edit all that out.
My head is gone.
I'll keep that in.
We're going to work on hard.
Keep that in.
We didn't even change our clothes.
Somebody stole all the jerseys. I don't know what's in these plums. They taste terrific, but then maybe there's a little touch of alcohol.
Could you just finally? So we'll finish off here, because.
We didn't do
senior player of the year.
That's what we're going to say. We're going to finish off with senior player of the year.
It's very
just room a segue there again, guys.
It's pretty hard. Sorry, segue police here.
I don't know how Neil takes the flack every week. Ridiculous. So senior player of the year. Sure. I mean, obviously, given the way the championship ended, we're probably looking, a Mayo man. But are there anybody else? Is there anybody else that's going to put their hands up for it?
Well, David Clifford has to be in the conversation, because even people would have been saying he was probably going to be Footballer of the Year before the final.
Team.
You wouldn't even make him captain.
No.
And he scored 1-6, all from play, and second half didn't get a lot of ball. But I mean, I just think over the whole piece
is he
and
suffering from that kind of Lionel Messi thing of like, you know, what he has to do to stand out is his normal game is so exceptional.
well,
that
that's it.
Him just playing normally is kind of like, that's just what he does. Like, you know.
I had a conversation with a Kerry journalist afterwards, and I was doing the Kerry ratings, and I said, "What did you give David?" And he said, "Oh, 9." And I said, and I had him down for an 8, and then because I introduced half marks a few years back, so I think I ended up giving him 8.5. But I mentioned to him, I said it was a bit like what it used to be with Peter Canavan. Peter Canavan could be absolutely brilliant, and you would just go, well, that's Peter Canavan, and so he gets a 7, whereas anybody else is getting an 8.
Yeah, he scored 1-6. But what else did he do?
Yeah.
What
But I say
what has the BBC ever done for me?
He
over
didn't make many tackles.
over it all, though, you have to give it to Ryan O'Donoghue. Sorry, his performance in the final, in particular, was just the winning of it. His leadership, his effort, his scoring. What Cahair talked in Monday's episode about. What he did in the build up to the Mayo goal. Like it was a phenomenal performance, and I just capped that. Yeah, he should get it.
Yeah.
That
would be my
but
pick.
it will be down to the GPA, by the way.
Yeah,
They're the
well,
ones
we
who
can
vote
have
for
our
it.
own. This is unofficial, independent.
okay.
We can just we do our own thing. What do we think? Is anybody else putting their hands up for inclusion, or is O'Donoghue kind of who else would be in the running? Or
Those two are probably in the frame. I mean, from early on the season, Ryan O'Donoghue had the look to me of a man who just genuinely believed this was going to be Mayo's year, and I think he just drove them to it. Like the orchestrator of everything. He's on the end of so many moves, vital 2-pointers when they need them. Just this like voracious appetite for work and scores and Mayo victories. So yeah, I mean, if ever a guy deserves it, I think he deserves it.
I think if you're right, like if David Clifford wasn't called David Clifford and he wasn't in a Kerry jersey, if he was playing as somebody else for a year and he did all that he did, he would probably be Footballer of the Year. But because he's David Clifford and the bar up is so far up for him that there's a good chance that he won't get it, and that we will be Ryan O'Donoghue. And Ryan O'Donoghue was phenomenal for Mayo all year. That's was interesting. Like it's definitely between those two, and the interesting thing is who will be the third player.
Young player of the championship. Player of the year has to be Ryan O'Donoghue, and maybe this is recency bias after the final, but he has been brilliant throughout, and there's just something fantastic about watching Ryan O'Donoghue. I've always thought that, and maybe it's the fact that he has that background in boxing. There's a real scrappiness, almost an un-Mayo-ness in some ways. Like he's hard. He really carries the fight to teams, and he really did that in the All Ireland final. He set the tone with the press against Kerry. He went out there and was not going to be defeated. Probably turned in one of the great all-time All Ireland final performances. So, and he's county down blood as well. So you can't be bad to that. As for the young player, again, you have to go for Kobe McDonald because of just what he has contributed. He's still such a young man. The story around him, obviously he's heading off to the AFL now. We may not see him in Mayo colours for a while, which is a damn shame for everybody who really enjoyed watching him this year. Even the All-Ireland final didn't always go his way, but he just kept on plugging away. The mentality of the guy is something else, never mind the outrageous talent that he has. So I think it's a given that it's going to be Kobe McDonald.
Well, is it a case of has any young player ever made the senior shortlist, or is it they usually tend to keep those kind of thing? But I mean, yeah, it's
like the young player of the year shortlist is absolutely nailed down.
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
3 is there's nobody getting into that 3.
I don't think any of those. Well, possibly McDonald, the performances he was putting in,
Possibly.
but I don't think the two Mayo lads push it onto the senior trio shortlist that there will be. But so it's hard to know. I mean, it's that thing you always sort of worry, and it has happened occasionally of like a a split vote.
Yeah.
And Mayo maybe benefited from that in the past of getting a footballer of the year. They probably won't care if, at the end of it, because they've got what they really wanted.
Yeah.
But so maybe it would be nice to have somebody from a county other than Mayo as a third man.
Nah, well, as you said, they won't care, but it would be a nice way to round off the season for them, and that'll round us off for the season, guys. Many thanks for sticking with us through it all. Many thanks to you for listening, downloading, watching, and obviously a huge thanks to our sponsors, Fine Insurance NI, your local insurance local commercial insurance broker. Got there in the end.
Of course.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that. If you want to access more high quality GAA content through the irishnews.com, there is a subscriber exclusive offer. Just go to irishnews.com/subscribe-Monday Club to get half price subscription, $7.49 for 2 months. You can access all the build up to the All Ireland final, the reporting, and all the other high quality GAA and sports journalism available to you. So all it leaves me to say is many thanks to Kenny Archer, Cahair O'Kane and Andy Watters, and to Neil Loughran for his contributions. And we're going to take a break for a few weeks. We'll be back sort of later in August with some more podcast gold. So tune in for that. Thanks very much, folks.